Hi everyone, welcome back to my garage. I am the motorcycle rescuer and this is motorcycle rescuer. So yes, welcome back. I got quite lucky yesterday. Yesterday or the day before, I found an engine on eBay for this at a fairly reasonable price, 180 quid or something. Apparently it's a runner, but obviously I can't confirm that. The bike it came out of, 6,000 kilometers it had on the clock. 6,000 kilometers, which is 4,000 miles, something like that. And definitely a good running engine, I was told. So the plan is to just have a quick look over and make sure it does appear to be a direct swap, and if it is a direct swap, switch it over, and we'll make it a bit of a one-day project almost. Now, very tempting to put that's a 150 top end on that, but I don't want to mess. If that works, runs and rides and is low mileage, I want that in this bike ASAP. The bike's stripped down, so the hard part's done. I don't really care about the rest of this engine, I'm not interested in it, so that's fine as well. I will probably keep the wheel, I'll swap them over after, probably, but otherwise that's it. So where do we start with a project like this? It looks really messy because all of the engine parts are here, but it's not, because all of that is part of the old engine. That's crap, not that, that's not crap, that's crap. So really we're getting rid of a lot of that to place in that, except for the carb. We need the carb to work. We haven't got a carb on this engine. Now from the variator point of view, we have a 5 pin connector, so very similar to the Piaggio Fly, and here we have a 5 pin connector. So yes, so our wiring loom should be direct plug and play. So at the moment it looks like this bike could be up and running today if we were extremely lucky. It's obviously hot wired. I haven't got a key for this bike, so I need to buy a new ignition set, and I haven't got a logbook for this bike, so I need to apply for that at some point. But let's start with the basics and get the engine in. Now, for anyone half interested, guess who's back? Back again. Oh, there it is. The old motorcycle rescuer, Vespa. I got this back off Warren yesterday because of course I gave him the new one. He said it doesn't start anymore. I kicked it, second kick, it started up immediately. Yes, the battery's dead. It started up second kick. Runs, rides beautifully, brakes, and has like 8 months MOT left on it. Seat doesn't lock anymore, it's not an issue at all. Not bothered about that. Honestly guys, it's a 50cc registered as a 125. If anyone wants this as a project, 350 quid, let me know, it's yours. I kind of don't really want to do any more work on it, but I actually really do like it. So that's an interesting one. Otherwise I'm dumping it on eBay. But yeah, honestly it starts second kick. So let's have a look at what we're going to be doing on this one. Let's start with some of the basics. Let's get rid of this back fairing so that we're right down to the nitty gritty in the engine. Then we get that engine across and we sit that engine next to this one so that it's ready to directly swap. Okay, so I've got the main engine bracket bolt out. That's okay at this stage. Now double check the rear brake line's off because that would pull on it. The rear shock is not mounted. The throttle cables are off. Just have a good look around now and just make sure there's nothing else connected. Loose, they're loose. Interesting, look. Okay, so we have the earth for the starter, so that's something lucky we looked at because that would have pulled on it. So I think that's 210s. We'll pop them off, chuck them onto the new one. Good, lucky I saw that. What else? Here you go, there's an earth here on the engine. Good, we'll get that off. That's kind of what you've got to do, because what we're going to do eventually is pull this body forward and the engine will stay sitting kind of thing. There's the main engine bolt, that bit's already kind of half out, that will come out with a bit of a wobble. But let's get these two off first. So it's them two there, they're the actual starter ones for the well, the start of the earth and the power. I know you guys don't get to see much of the action anymore with my shorter videos. Let's give you a minute or two of what all this stuff looks like. Hopefully nothing's attached. Oh, what have we got? One more 8, guys. One more 8. Always one more 8. Hopefully this is it. Come on! Second time lucky. You're free! Ah. That's the best that project's looked in a long time. Next bit's quite easy, guys. You bring the other engine over and you sit it where that one was, so directly behind it, and then you faint, because you know you have to do it all again in reverse. Nah, it's actually quite quick, the next part. So the next step is similar. Don't try and muscle the engine into there. That's lighter. Lift that and plonk it onto there. Then work out all the engine mounts. They're exactly the same, it's just that one there, look. There, and it's the same on the other one. The actual frame is here on the floor at the moment. Then you line that up and you chuck the bolt in. That bit's easy. Once the engine's in and safe, that's when you start looking at other stuff like electrics, carbs, and so on. So let's get this engine bolted in and safe, and then we'll look at everything else around it. So again, simply lift this, plonk it on, and then work your bolt back through, all the way through, chuck your securing nut on, and there you go. So the main engine bolt is in and fully secured. The shock bolt is in but hasn't got the actual bolt on the end, the nut on the end even, so but that's fine. It's currently a safe sitting bike. So what's next? I guess the rear end is still very loose. Remember, the old engine was very loose in there. It still is. I think I need to nip up a lot of the frame. So I'm going to do that now, just kind of nip it all up. Some of it's quite loose. I think even the rear shock might need a washer or two to stiffen it all up. But otherwise it seems fine. And from here it's quite a quick, easy transition really. Oh god, what are these greens here? Don't know. So that's all stator stuff. Don't know what these greens, blue and green are. This isn't a bike where I've cut the loom at all. Gonna have to look into that, but yeah, basically if anything was sticking out of the engine, then I'd need to look into that. But let me just get this a bit more secure. Like, I know that the bracket down here is a bit loose, so I'm going to nip it up a bit and try and get it all sitting. It's just, look, it's got a little bit of play in it. It just all needs a bit of nipping up, maybe a couple of washers. So technically, we're at a stage here where this could fire up. There's no automatic choke because the wiring, it will be one of these two. I think this green and red actually, and another green. I think them two would be choke. I'll work that out eventually. That's a green and black, that's a green and red, that's green and that's blue. I think it's a green, plain green, or green and black. Doesn't matter. Technically we can kind of turn the key now and just see what happens. All we need is look, power and earth here, and then nothing else at this stage, and then we just turn it on there and see what happens. Highly unlikely that anything happens. We've also got some old stale fuel in here still, so even the carb could do its thing. The other thing I'm unsure of, you see these boots, I've told you before, these Fly Vespa Typhoon boots, they rip all the time. There is a slight rip in that one. The one on there is brand new, so not a huge issue there, but I'd like to see if this kind of is a runner anyway before messing with other stuff. And then if it is, I'll look for the original carb, which will be in there somewhere, and we'll be looking at going back to original carb, automatic choke. I'll put the new boot on from that one that's brand new, and we could have a riding engine here. I'm not happy with the engine mounts, not really sure exactly what's going on there. It could be these mounts used to go bad, but this one seems okay. There's not much play in this actual one. Now I don't know where. There's a bit of play down in the mount I put in. Maybe needs a washer or two in there, or we need to torque that down a bit more. Right, that makes sense. A washer or two in there just to get a bit more purchase on that one. Maybe some more I'll have a look at that, but that's kind of the long shot. At the moment we've got suction, we've got some fuel in there. I sucked the fuel through. I'm going to move it to the car, let's put it on the leads and we'll see what happens. Exciting times, guys. So anyone who's followed my channel for a while knows that I don't hide my findings, so this is absolutely genuine first press of this button to see if this engine runs. It's been a 2-hour project so far, 2 hours roughly, so not that long for what we might achieve. Carb's not right, the boot's not right, but if it gives us something, then it's worth continuing, and that's all we're looking for now, something. Okay, that gave us something. Now one thing I want to double check now while we're here is the oil. We heard it turn over. I don't want to risk running this engine with no oil. There was a weird bit of smoke that came out there. So I'm going to check the oil before I do anything else. May even drip a tiny bit down the spark plug hole. But let's check this. See how dry it is. You can't check it as you see it, guys. You have to clean it off, and then you have to dip it without screwing it in. Yeah, it's fairly dry. There's oil in there when you screw it in, but it's below the low, so I'm going to top it up a little bit. Okay, so I've topped up the oil. Let's see if we can get it idling. I'll nip up the idle. That's definitely good enough for me. There is a big split here, you can see it. If I cover it, listen to the engine, it runs better, listen. And then I'll let it go and listen to the engine revs drop, listen. Too much air going in. Back. So next step of this puzzle is to change that immediately because the rest of it seems okay. Right, let me switch this off. That's great news, guys. Great news. That means this is a project that we can start actually working on. Let's get this manifold switched over while we still can. So I've popped off the good intake from that engine. It's going on there. Again, guys, you've got a Vespa, Piaggio Fly, Typhoon, any of them bikes, and you've got idling issues, idling high, idling low, changing idling. Check the boot, it's extremely common with them. I've changed them many, many times. They're only like 20 quid, so it's well worth doing. Also, if you're desperate, you can repair them with some high temp silicone, like gasket seal or something. I've done that plenty of times and they've outlived new ones, actually, if I'm being honest. So, yep, switch these over and then we should have a bike that idles appropriately on its own, which is a lovely step to be at. Alright guys, manifolds changed over. This bike should now sit and idle, which should just seem fine. I'll chuck on the leads, we'll fire it up. And if it is, then I'm going to chuck the arse back together. I was just saying to Jamie that I can't be asked if this is a full project. I think I might just piece it back together and sell it as a riding project. But I'm not sure yet, because it needs a whole new ignition set at the moment, doesn't it? And a logbook and the kind of nitty-gritty bits and pieces. But saying that, if I get all that done, you got a kind of £1,200 bike there. Basically, if the brake lights don't work, then these bikes don't start, and I've got brake light problems with both this switch and that switch, so struggles to start, but I am going to get it started, so hold out. what it's doing is it's spitting from here the emissions tube. So I pulled one off that I'd blanked off earlier. Where is it? I just blanked one off. It was quicker and easier. Oh, it's here somewhere. Here it is. This one, because we're not worried about the emissions at this stage. There you go. We should be back to good normal idle now. Oh, hang on, did I switch it? I switched it.
Yeah, you switched off.
Did I?
Would help, wouldn't it?
Go on. Try horn.
No.
You need to kind of wiggle the back brake up and down.
Just to try and catch it.
Yeah.
Not playing.
It's a bit of a... So that's it, just idling, guys, off its own back now. Don't worry about the rattles. No idea what they are. I don't think the airbox is sitting on properly at the moment. Don't worry about that. Alright guys, original carb, we took it off last time because the engine wasn't running, but it was a bad engine rather than a bad carb, so this technically should be okay to go back on and run and ride like normal, technically. Also, all of the carb heating element pin clips in, and we can also get the, so it's yellow and green, we can get the carb, what do you call it, choke connected up. So I'm going to try this carb back on to see if we're completely back to originality. If then we've got a front brake and a back brake and an engine that starts technically and runs and rides. It could technically be run and ridden and tested. I think I've even got a battery for it actually. So let me throw this carb on and we'll see what happens there. Okay, back to our kind of one-day project, although this bike's been here since October. So that makes it a, 7-8 month project. So that's the original carb, which I wasn't sure if it ran or not. I've just sucked some fuel through. You know the best sucker in the world is Jake, but he's not here. So I had to suck it through this time. I don't know if this is a normal functioning carb. I haven't cleaned it. Let's see. It'd be nice to run off the original carb.
Seems better to me. Sounds a lot better, yeah. Oh, I think it's really nice.
The observant among you will notice that I was doing that on the throttle. Also the back brake is connected up as well, so we have a back brake and all. And we have a front brake as well. I think for the last hour or so, I think I'm going to chuck the back end on. I think I want it just to look a little bit more like a bike. Like I can put the seating, the bucket in and stuff. But at the moment, I think that's great. We've got an engine there, the original carb, all the original electrics. Yes, there's obviously bits and pieces that need looking at. brake lights and stuff, but that's easy, guys. Them switches cost £7 each. We can get brand new ones in no time. Funny enough, saying that, we know we got a horn. If we got any indicators, we got front right, we got front left. Oh, they're hanging off. Look, oh hey, that one's working. Look, and I can spin it around. Opposites, bloody hell, mate. We got indicators. So we got a horn and indicators all round. I think the front light and all that should work, but I've been holding back because I need a new ignition, don't I? Oh no, this is one of them. This is one of them. I thought this would be a bolt-on ignition, and it's not. It's one of them internal ones. I can't even remember how you do these ones, if I'm being honest, guys. So normally you buy all the innings. Jake was good at this. Oh, I'm gonna have to look into all that. Otherwise, what can I do? I could probably, this is a 2-wire ignition. I could put on one of them automatic starters, you know, with the from the key. I could do that actually, that'd be alright. But then the seat wouldn't have a lock. I'll look into it, but that sounds smooth as anything.
Yeah.
Guys, I spoke earlier about the Vespa. If anyone wants the Vespa, 350, you can have it now. Starts, runs, rides. It has about 7 months MOT left. Rides beautifully. 50cc with a 125 engine. Spot on. And this project, if anyone wants to bung me, I don't know, what's this worth? Let me start piecing it back together. 500 quid maybe? And then all you have to do is finish it off. Chuck on the last few panels. You sort out the ignition sets, you sort out any of the wiring that's needed, although I don't think there is any needed, if I'm being honest. You sort out the logbook, and then I reckon it's a £1,200 bike once it's all done and dusted. So yeah, let me know. For now, I think, no, I'm not going to wrap up yet. I'm going to put the arse on this bike because I want it to look a little bit more like a bike at this stage. So I'm going to do that now while we can. But you can hear it, guys, smooth as anything. Oh. And to be fair, that fuel's been sitting in there for months, so that won't be the smoothest. That's stale fuel, that is. Look at that, guys. That's a real bike. Starting, running, riding, braking, beeping, indicating, brake lighting bike that you can have for the price of, what, £500? As it sits.
Is your channel set into QVC?
I reckon QVC is much harder than it looks. I reckon when the camera comes on and you have to big up your product, I think you get like, you can't speak. But it is a good looking bike. One thing I noticed is that the rear end has a real slimness to it, but then it's got that huge arse number plate extender. This bike would look really good if that was chopped down and it had a better hanger at the back. But at the moment, it's just a bike, guys. It just kind of starts, runs, rides and brakes, like I said, and does everything. So I'm just trying to find all the pieces. I need to find this piece now, here. I can't think what it looks like. I'm going to have a look. I feel like I've seen that, actually. Right, guys, wrapping up for today. I'm really pleased where this bike went today, honestly. It sat in the corner for ages, and it was a real bugbear of mine. But now, it's a running, riding, braking bike, and it does everything it needs to do. The actual lock set, they're only a few pounds. It's only the actual, what do you call it, barrel you need, 2 of them, and they're like 12 quid. So I'll order a lock set immediately. If we're very lucky, it will come on, what day are we today? Wednesday? Thursday? Thursday. It'll come on Saturday, although it doesn't matter, there's no rush. And so we'll have a barrel set and maybe a new battery at some point, although I think that one over there is for this bike and works. I think one of them two do. And that's kind of it. It's going to be quite a quick project. I found this frame. I don't know what that's from, but that is the exact frame that I think is needed. So I think I'm going to switch over that frame so that the engine's not as swayy. Let me show you on camera what I mean. One of the tests on the MOT is they tilt the bike and they bob it. I'm going to show you what I mean. So they tilt the bike like this and they bob it. Oh, that's not bad, Jay.
There's a little bit of sway in it.
Do you know what? That's fine. I didn't even think. There's a little bit, but that's quite normal. I did nip it all up this morning. Maybe it was just needed tightening. Guys, that is exactly the test that they do, and actually that would pass, so no concerns there anymore. I was going to put on the spare. I'll keep the spare in case. But technically, the Typhoon could have keys, run and ride, and be MOT'd in a couple of weeks. Now, Jamie was just saying to me, why don't I use it as a summer bike? Might be a good idea, guys. If it's going to take me 3 months to get a logbook, I may as well, you know, run it around. You know, it's ultra low emissions free. I don't know how you tax it when you're waiting for the logbook, but as long as it's insured and MOT'd and I'm legally allowed to ride it, the tax won't be a huge issue. But anyway, let me know what you think. I've really enjoyed this one-day project. I think it's always very risky buying an engine. You just never know what you're going to get. But this bike, I never thought I'd see this bike piecing back together. I've got all these pieces kicking about, and now it's like, bloody hell, it's gone back together quite quickly and easily. And that's quite cool, and it's a good looking bike. I do think that rear end really lets it down though, because it's quite short and choppy at the back.
Yeah.
And it's got that massive...
Further, didn't they?
Yeah, it's got that massive... This almost needs a custom tail tidy. Or just chop back all of that plastic.
Small plate on it.
But you know what? Let's keep it original. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and throw a comment in. Don't matter how silly the comment is. It always helps with the YouTube algorithm. I get kind of 400 watches. I've said this a lot recently. Roughly 400 watches within the first 24 hours. And like 32 likes. So press that like button. You might as well. It doesn't take you half a second, and it means a lot to me.